This is the Great North Wrestling Podcast, the official podcast of the Hannibal TV, Canada's #1 pro wrestling YouTube channel, with your host, 3-time Canadian champion and GNW lead reporter, Devin Hannibal Nicholson.
This is Hannibal from thehannibaltv.com, and today we have former The Ultimate Fighter star, UFC star, and now he's a bare knuckle boxing star, Chris Leben. How are you today, sir?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me on.
Well, to start this off, I wanted to congratulate you on your recent victory over Phil Baroni in the bare knuckle fight. What's the difference in preparation for a bare knuckle fight compared to an MMA fight?
Well, I mean, there's substantial differences. Obviously, there's no ground, you know, so no need training jiu-jitsu when you're getting ready for a bare knuckle fight. You know, you don't want to risk getting hurt working on the ground when you're just going to be throwing hands. Kicks as well, you know, and then so you look at it kind of like boxing, but a little bit more like a street fight because it's got the clinch, and you know you can underhook, you can dirty box, you can spinning back fist. But then also, you know, there's the no gloves, which changes things substantially, you know, and in particular with my fight, you know, we knew that going in, you know, and you do what you can to condition your hands, but obviously I've been fighting with gloves the majority of my life, so to take them off, you know, it definitely affects you. You have to be a lot more precise with your punches. And not just where you target, how you throw your punches is important. You got to make sure you're hitting with those big knuckles. You know, you're not hitting with your wrist bent or anything out of line. You know, so that's very important. And then also punches. You know, they play huge. You know, a lot more damage. One punch can pack a lot more damage. Bare knuckle. Your jab is substantially more important bare knuckle. You know, than in an MMA fight or even more a boxing match.
And you do have some gauze, I guess it's on the wrist area, and some tape for wrist support. I guess that's just for protection of your own hand?
I mean, not much, man. I really felt like, you know, House wrapped my hands, you know, and he's my favorite hand wrapper there is. You know, but he wrapped my hands by the standards that they set, you know, and they only want one piece of tape, one layer of tape and gauze around the hand, in Wyoming at least. And then you go around the thumb a little bit and around the wrist. Not worried about my wrist personally that much. I think it would have been just the same to have no wrap at all. That's what it felt like to me. It didn't feel like it was doing a whole lot.
And the fight itself was pretty short. A lot of people were expecting it to go a little bit longer. Were you surprised at how fast you were able to finish him?
You know, you train for the worst, you hope for the best, you know, and I mean that's what I did. I stepped in there, you know, ready for a 5-round war. You know, the outcome, you know, I fight to the best of my ability, and then the outcome is out of my hands. So, you know, yes, I did train and prepare for 5 rounds. It certainly didn't go that long. But you know what, man? You know, I'll take the win however it comes.
And I'm not sure if you've heard about this, but there's been a disgruntled bare knuckle fight executive, Paul Tyler, that has made some comments saying he thought the fight was a work. What do you think about that? And I guess there's been some issues with some of the fighters that apparently didn't get paid for that show.
Really? He said that? Man, that guy is he is something else, you know. He's the guy that signed me. You know, he's the guy that originally contacted me. He was, you know, the former matchmaker. You know, I think at this point, you know, and then with Boss Rutan and his press release, it's gotten about as bad as it can get. I mean, the mudslinging, you know, the things that I've heard, I mean, if any of the things I've heard about him are true, you know, it's unfortunate. But, you know, I always felt that me and him personally were on good terms, you know. Yes, there was a lot of things that happened dealing with him, but I'm one of those guys. I always feel like you get more, you know, you no need to make enemies unless you know, you absolutely have to. Even if somebody kind of messes some stuff up, maybe fucks you over a little bit, that, you know, still, why not just stay on the good side? Probably be better in the long run, especially when it comes to business. This is how I feel. You know, so saying that, I thought we were on good terms. But it really sounds like what I've been hearing, you know, the things I've been hearing about that guy are just really pretty terrible.
Does that kind of turn you off of bare knuckle fighting at all? All that that shadiness and rumors.
You know, I don't think it's bare knuckle fighting's fault. You know, the owner was great to me. You know, obviously Boss Root, and I love Boss. I've known Boss for many years. You know, and we've always got along very well. Everybody at the WBKFF really bent over backwards to accommodate me. My flight out was great. My stay at the hotel was great. You know, everything they could do. I knew at that time there was a lot of adversity that they were facing. I knew there was a lot of things going on behind the scenes, you know, that they obviously didn't want to expose or let everybody onto just yet. You know, so I kind of left it alone, you know. I didn't ask, you know, if they're not going to tell you why ask kind of a thing, you know. But I did sense that, and you know, after seeing the press release and after kind of understanding a little more about, you know, everything that was going on, you know, I feel like, you know, the company is a great company. You know, the majority of the people there are wonderful. It's just, you know how it goes, man, one bad apple.
And you're, of course, going to be the big star of the company as it looks now. So is this something that you're going to continue for the foreseeable future? I'm guessing you probably signed a multiple fight contract with them. Well,
no more. It was a one fight contract. You know, one fight. So, but that being said, you know, absolutely. You know, everything. You know, it really sounds like everything ultimately, in the end, is going to work out for the WBKFF. They seem to have overcome a lot and pulled it off. You know, and you know, I'd love to stay right where I'm at. Absolutely, I'm in a good place with them.
And how's your heart holding up these days? Because you did have some heart issues in the past. I guess that affected your the end of your MMA career a little bit.
For sure it did. For sure it did. Among other things, among lifestyle choices, among you know what the doctors were. You know, there was a lot of issues at the end of my MMA career, and then you know my heart problem only got worse after that. That being said, you know, a complete revamping, you know, of my lifestyle, you know, of my diet, of my stress level, of what I do for recreation, and you know, my heart has done a complete 180. The doctors are basically they're blown away more or less, and you know, I don't understand why they're so blown away, because when I look at where I was, you know. When I look at everything that I changed, I think that, you know, most cases of heart disease, you know, with a change in lifestyle, in outlook, in diet, can, you know, over half of them, I believe, could probably be reversed. You know, heart disease is, you know, from the research I've done, it's one of those things that kind of goes hand in hand with modern society. You know, you didn't see it, you know, very rarely 100 years ago. And, you know, you don't see it in people that don't live in modern. You'll see it in third world nations. They don't have heart disease. They don't have that problem. They got a lot of other problems. Heart disease ain't one of them because they don't have the stress. They don't have all the alcohol. They don't, you know, blah 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 blah.
Does that affect pre-workout supplements that you could take before training, or you probably wouldn't take pre-workouts before fighting? But
you know what? You're the first guy to ask me that. Good question. Yeah, absolutely it does. I do not take any sort of energy boosting supplement. The only thing I do, and I'm not going to lie, it is a little bit of a vice for me, is coffee. I do still drink coffee, you know, but that's it. Straight caffeine, you know, black coffee, and that's my pre-workout. My pre-workout is a cup of black coffee from Starbucks.
And I did notice you have a YouTube channel going now, and you're doing a lot of juicing on there. Do you want to tell people about your YouTube channel and what kind of content you're putting?
Yeah, well, you know, it's really more my girlfriend's YouTube channel. She's the one putting the videos together. She really enjoys it. I don't mind, you know, happy wife, happy life, right? So, you know, I certainly don't have time to be putting a lot of that stuff together. But besides, you know, and, you know, I think it's fun. It kind of shows the world, you know, what I'm up to. You know, yes, you know, a lot of juicing, I think a lot of supplements for my heart. Besides what the Western medicine, you know, besides the stuff I get from my cardiologist, I also take, you know, turmeric and garlic and raw organic cayenne pepper and elderberry and hawthornberry and all these other, you know, organic, all natural herbs that I can't pronounce.
And you trained under Randy Couture. What was that experience like?
Well, you know, I mean, I can't even begin to say how much I learned from Randy, you know, and, you know, you're only as good as the people you train with, you know, and having the opportunity for me, you know, I was the 12th member ever at Team Quest when it originally opened, you know, and I had Randy, and I had Matt Lindland, and Dan Henderson was coming up, and Evan Tanner was there. Then obviously Chael Sonnen and Ed Herman was, you know, my best friend and my training partner every day. I mean, I had, you know, and obviously Robert Flawless. I had all those guys training me and pushing me. And Randy, besides just the coaching, you know, the mentoring and the lead, you know, he leads through example in so many ways. Watching the way that he trained, the way that he prepared for a fight, the way that he left no stone unturned, you know, really, you know, I mean, I try to emulate what he did a lot. I really do. I try to go, well, how would Randy handle this? What would he do for his training? What would he do for his conditioning? Because one thing for sure, that guy never stepped in the octagon not prepared.
Yeah, that's for sure. And cardio is one of the most important things in fighting, I guess, for sure. And
well, I feel, and I also feel like cardio is one of the things. There's a lot of things in fighting I can't control. Cardio, if my cardio is bad, if I lose a fight because I gas out, that's my fault. Nobody else's. That's one thing I have 100% control over. So that, in my opinion, should never, ever be an issue with a fighter.
Do you do a lot of running still, or are you more interval training?
I do a little bit of everything, you know. Depends where I'm at in my camp, you know. I do some Olympic lifting. I do sprints. I swim a lot. I do long, slow runs. You know, I really try to vary it up, mix it up. But especially towards the end of my camp, to really get the weight down, I do a lot of running. I mean, there's no way to get the weight off like just running.
And who would you say your toughest opponent was in the UFC?
You know, that's a tough one because you go, well, you know, it wasn't much of a fight, but I did fight Anderson Silva. You know what I mean? And it was early on in my career. You know, it was his first fight in the UFC. You know, he made short work of me, and then he went on to, you know, be one of the greatest world champions ever. You know, but yeah, definitely. I remember when I got in there with him and the way that he moved, just being like, "Fuck, I can't hit this guy." Like, you know, like I was definitely outclassed in that fight. You know, so there's that. You know, and then there's other fights, you know, that were 3-round wars with guys, you know, that you know, just wouldn't go down, and we just beat the crap out of each other. You know, those guys are tough too. So I guess it depends on what you're looking for with that question.
And you're, of course, known for your red hair. Could you tell us how you ended up coming up with the idea to start dyeing your hair that color?
You know, I was over at Ed Herman's house, and there was some drinking involved. I think Matt Schultz was there too. Ryan Schultz was there, and I can't remember exactly, but we were talking about, you know, I was saying something about, I got to figure out a way for these promoters to remember me and, you know who I am. And that's when I came up with the bright idea. I was going to dye my hair red, you know, and at that time, not every fighter in the world was dyeing their hair fucking rainbow colored, you know, so it actually did originally, you know, this was back, you know, before I was even fighting in the WEC, that I started doing this, you know, and it worked. Promoters go, oh, the red hair, the kid with the bright red hair.
Yeah. It definitely made you stand out, and it made you very memorable on The Ultimate Fighter as well. And if you could have a choice of someone to fight in your next bare knuckle fight, who would it be?
That is a good question. You know, they've already called me. We've already talked a little bit about, you know, the next opponent, you know, and I kind of said, hey, wait, let's wait till after Thanksgiving. I want to be able to eat my food in peace, you know, so, but, you know, there's a few names out there. Definitely, you know, at this stage in my career, I want to go out there and I want to have good, exciting fights that the crowd's going to like. Whoever it is, I want somebody that's going to come out there to fight.
And final question for you. We have a lot of wrestling fans on this channel, and I was just wondering what your opinion will be on the Brock Lesnar versus Daniel Cormier fight if that takes place next year.
You know, I mean, I can see it happening. You know, I really could. Brock, you know, the bottom line, he sells a lot of pay-per-views. You know, that when it comes to it is the most important thing in the sport. You know, if you don't put asses in seats, if you don't sell those pay-per-views, you know, you don't make the business money. No, you know, it doesn't matter. You know, so there, Brock definitely sells a lot of pay-per-views. It would be a huge, huge fight. It would be great for the UFC. How do they match up? You know, I got to say, Brock knows, I mean, he's getting older for sure, but Brock can wrestle, and he's huge. Don't get me wrong, Cormier is not necessarily a small guy, but I'd probably have to put my money on Brock. I think he could walk right back in and win the heavyweight title at any time if he wanted to.
Very interesting. And do you want to tell us your social media outlets so fans can look that up?
You know, yeah, I post mostly on Instagram, and I think it's just Chris Leben MMA. You know, it's got the little blue check by it. Make sure you get that one, not one of these other guys. You know, and then obviously I'm on Facebook and Twitter. I don't know, it all links together. I don't even really pay attention to that stuff too much. But yeah, and then you know, there's some great videos. People like the YouTube videos. Besides just my channel, my gym, The Arena, has a great YouTube station, and they put some some really good videos up on my training for Phil Baroni if anybody's interested.
Did you? It looked like almost Phil was trying to wrestle you at the start. Did you notice that at all in that fight?
Well, it's funny, you know, because when I look back, okay, so during the fight, I was kind of yelling at the ref because he kept breaking us up, and my plan was to work in the clinch. I was going to let him get a little tired working in the clinch. I was fine with that, but the ref kept stopping. I didn't realize his arms were so low. You know, I thought he was trying to tie me up, but then I went back and watched the fight. Obviously, hindsight's 20/20. Now, I think what he was doing was grabbing low, thinking Chris is an MMA guy. He's going to drop his hands to defend the takedown. I'll break off and come up with a hook and catch him breaking out of the clinch. Almost, you know, like Cormier did to Stipe. You know, clinch and then break off and whap. So I think that was probably his game plan. I don't want to get caught with the left early, so I'll throw that right and go right into the clinch, drop low. When he drops the fight, I'll pop off and fire something high up top. You know, that's probably what I think was going on now. Obviously, that didn't work out too well for him, but, you know.
No, and it definitely did not look like a worked fight at all. You could tell it wasn't.
Yeah,
so.
man, that's just fucking, that is really upsetting to me. I mean, you know, you train so hard for something, you know, and you go out there, you know, and you lay it all on the line, and you know, the outcome, you know, the fact that the fight ended early, that's out of my fucking hands. I mean, I broke my knuckle on the side of his fucking head. I hit him hard. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think anybody could have got back up after that punch. I do know one thing I do, you know, one thing I am good at is hitting hard, and that punch was clean, right on his temple. You know, I just, it really upset, especially, you know, with me, it really upsets me that anybody would say that about me, you know. And, you know, I thought me and Paul were on good terms, but apparently for him to say something like that about me is, it's really disheartening, really disheartening.
Well, congratulations on your first victory in bare knuckle fighting, and we wish you continued success. Anything to say to the fans here to close this off?
No, man, I just really appreciate those guys that have stuck behind me, you know, and when I made this comeback, a lot of people were like, what are you doing? What you doing, you know? And, you know, I feel like, you know, I kind of showed the world that, hey, I'm healthy, I'm in a better spot now, and I can compete on the highest level, and I just want to thank the people that supported me and were behind me making this comeback. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Great North Wrestling Podcast. Subscribe to this podcast on iTunes and subscribe to the Hannibal TV on YouTube for all the latest GNW news and videos. Follow at Devin Hannibal on Twitter and check out our website at thehannibaltv.com.